Did everyone accept?
Yes.
Yeah.
That was quick. Normally I have to wait for Brooke to finish his text message or something. All right, let's dive in then. What's up, Dream Warriors? Welcome back to another episode of a podcast on Elm Street. I'm Mark.
And I'm Brooke.
And tonight we are joined by a very special guest, someone who is no stranger to our podcast anymore, the lovely Miss Felicia Conner from Two Chicks and a Horror Flick.
Yay! Thanks for having me.
Again,
yes.
we made a joke that you're the new Josh.
Because he's on a lot of I
Yeah.
like that. That's good. That's a good place to be.
Yeah. But yeah, it's always a great time having you on. We always love the discussions that come out of these episodes with you and with Tawny. But we had to bring you on because we know how much you love this franchise that we're talking about. Without further ado, this week we are talking about Jurassic World Dominion. Just came out last week. Last week, June 10th. So it's very new. So this is just a warning. If you haven't watched it and you don't want any spoilers, this is probably going to have a lot of spoilers. So stop now, go watch the movie, and then come back to the episode.
Yeah.
But before we hop into this, Felicia, do you want to tell our listeners a little bit about yourself, about your podcast, what you do, all that jazz?
Yes, I'd love to. So I am one half of Two Chicks and a Horror Flick. So me and Tawny, we have a weekly horror movie review podcast, just like these guys. And we just get together and talk about horror movies. It's fun. It's so awesome. And that's what I do.
Awesome. Yeah. We love your podcast, as you know. We always reference you guys whenever we're talking about or watching a movie that has a lot of thought to it, because you and Tawny love to do the deep dives into these psychological movies. And it's always an interesting conversation.
Oh, we love you guys too, as you know. And yeah, we love those. We are doing an Annihilation next week. And I was begging Tawny, I'm going to do the research for it. Can I do the research? we love picking things apart like that.
Yeah. All right. Before we start talking about this movie though, what have you guys been up to? I guess we'll start with Felicia, sorry.
That's okay. Tawny's cool.
You're the guest of honor.
I've been working a lot. I'm a corporate trainer in the daytime. So I have a new hire class. So I've been working a lot, but I was able to squeak in the evenings. My husband and I watched Under the Banner of Heaven and also Keep Sweet, Obey, and Pray. Okay. So that Netflix documentary was super interesting. And then because I like that, somebody mentioned, you should watch Under the Banner of Heaven on Hulu. And that was really good too.
Nice.
So, yeah. Oh, and we saw Top Gun Maverick in the movie theater.
Ooh, nice. How was that?
That was so fun. So this was my husband. My husband is always going to horror movies with me and he doesn't even like them. So he was like, well, I would like to see this. I'm like, yeah, let's go see something you want to see. Cause I wasn't that into it. Oh my gosh. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. Yeah.
That's awesome.
I still need to watch it. I hear nothing but great things about it.
Yeah, me too.
You should see it in the theater because of the intensity of the jets and stuff.
Yeah, I really wanted to watch it. There's a thing up here. I don't know if it's down there, but it's called 4DX and it's like basically moving seats. And I wanted to go see Top Gun Maverick in 4DX. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't in 4DX anymore, but I got to see Dominion in the 4DX. So that was really fun. But I'm kind of bummed I missed it on Top Gun Maverick. I think that would have been a blast.
That would have been wicked.
Yeah.
I never even heard of that where your seats move. That's cool.
And they have like fans, big ass fans like up in the ceiling. They have like mist that sprays during water scenes. And
it's
like,
nuts.
Oh my God. That's like a theme park ride.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's amazing.
We went and saw the Batman in it and it was unbelievable. Like you almost need a seat belt for the seats because they jolt you around that much.
Yeah.
Oh, how fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. it was really fun. Yeah.
Yeah, Dominion would have been a good one to watch in that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it
Top
was.
Gun would have been really good.
Yeah.
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 Absolutely.
Yeah.
What about you, Brooke? What have you been?
I watched quite a bit, so I'm not going to name everything because I did watch a lot. We did just watch the first episode of the Too Sweet that you just mentioned,
Mhm.
and it is so messed up. Like
Mhm.
it's actually hard to watch. Like it shows like the young girls like kissing this old man, and he's like 86, and they just turned 19, and it's really disturbing. So yeah, I'm looking forward to watching the rest of it, but
It does get worse.
that's what my friend
disturbing-wise,
said
yeah.
too. Yeah, so I don't know, but yeah. In prep for Dominion, I did watch most of the franchise.
Oh, shit.
So I watched The Lost World all the way up to Jurassic World. I didn't watch Fallen Kingdom because I don't really care too much about that movie, but we'll talk more about those later. I watched a movie called Mad God on Shudder. I know Mark knows about it, but Felicia, basically it's a stop motion movie, and it took this guy 33 years to make it.
Oh my God.
It's
Yeah.
nuts.
Yeah. He's like one of like the leaders in like FX, and yeah, it took him 33 years to make this movie, and it doesn't make any sense at all, but just the amount of work that went into it, it's amazing. Like it's incredible. I watched a movie called Spiderhead on Netflix.
Oh,
It's new one with Chris Hemsworth. It hasn't been getting the best reviews, but I really liked it. Wasn't the best, but it was a cool concept, and it's based on like a short story, I guess, too. So has Miles Teller in as well. Yeah, I really liked it. It's kind of like Black Mirror-ish, sort of,
Nice.
and like Ex Machina kind of vibes. So it was good.
Yeah, I want to check it out.
And then the last two movies I watched, I finally watched The Conjuring 2. It only took me like 7 years to watch it. Yeah.
You've never seen it?
No.
Oh
no.
my Lord.
Yeah. I really liked it.
Fuck yeah.
I loved it. I thought it was really good. And then I watched The Conjuring 3, or The Devil Made Me Do It. I didn't like that one that much.
Yeah.
I thought Conjuring 2 was way better.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, so that's pretty much it.
Sweet.
It's a good list.
That is, yeah. Wow. I watched a couple movies. Yeah, we talked. Well, I told you guys before we started recording, I didn't watch anything really this week in terms of movies. Sarah and I finally sat down and watched the first episode of Stranger Things. So, I mean, I guess that's a movie because it's an hour and 20 minutes long. But yeah, she's very hard to sit down and watch a TV show with. And it really bothers me with shows like this because I've been chomping at the bit to watch this. But we finally sat down the other night and watched it. So good, that first episode. I cannot wait to watch the rest of them. What I started watching the new Resident Evil. What's it? Welcome to Raccoon City.
Okay, yeah.
I started watching that. I think it's on Prime now, so I figured I'd toss it on. I know it's getting shit reviews, but
yeah,
whatever. That's pretty much it in terms of that. I started listening to Green Lights, which is Matthew McConaughey's audiobook. Phenomenal.
Yeah.
Having him read his biography. Well, it's not even really a biography. It's more just like stories of his life. Which, I mean, I guess is kind of a biography, but, but it's not like, I don't know. I can't remember how he words it. I don't know. It's not from like the start of his life to the end of his life. It's just like key points through it that he's just kind of telling stories about. But yeah, having him read a book to you is, it's an experience because
it's so good.
Yeah, he's hilarious. And then like he wrote the book too, right? So he's reading it as if he was like telling you a story at a party sort of thing. Like he changes his voice. He gets very like ramped up at some points and really quiet at some points. And it's just, I don't know, it's a really good experience. And I highly recommend it to anybody, whether you like audiobooks or not. You should definitely check this one out because it's very good.
Yeah. That book is like you're sitting there with him at a party and it's his stream of consciousness.
Yeah.
Just him talking. Another book like that, if you liked this one, I bet you would like Bryan Cranston's A Life in Parts. Same experience. Like you're kicking it with Bryan and he's like telling you these stories that happened throughout his life. It's so good.
Yeah. I think you have talked about that before. And I might actually end up buying that after I finish this one because I'm just having a really good time with it. Yeah. And his family life, it's like Tawny, or why do I keep calling you Tawny?
It's okay.
Felicia. Maybe it's because I was talking to Tawny before we started recording because she was asking for like remedies for a sore throat. Felicia. Yes. Where was I? I don't even remember what I was about to say.
You're talking about his family life, how he
right. Yeah. Like we were talking about it earlier today, I believe. And he's just like, he goes on about how his dad would like be the meanest person to his mom, and they would get into like very, very physical fights where they're like cutting each other and like bleeding and beating the shit out of each other. But then they turn around and they're like in this warm embrace and they're like the most loving couple, and they've been divorced 2 times and remarried 3 times. And it's just,
wow.
Yeah. And like, he has this like adoration for his family. And it's like, and he says it in the book that he doesn't want to make that, like, he doesn't consider himself a victim of like child abuse or anything like that, or like an abusive household. But in all intents and purposes, he really was like,
yeah. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say, just given what he went through.
Yeah, he definitely, it's really interesting how he is telling you these stories, and absolutely, I mean, I'm sure he had to work through that to get where he is today, or maybe not, I have no idea. But looking back, because he does say looking back, it's almost like this is just life experience and has absolutely no victim mentality whatsoever, sees their relationship for what it was. And, you know, and now he is himself and the things he learned from it. It's just very cool to listen to that.
Yeah. But anyways, this isn't a Matthew McConaughey podcast.
Get out of here, Matthew.
All right. You guys ready to talk about this movie?
Yes.
Yes.
Sweet. All right. Like we said in the intro, this week we're talking about 2022's Jurassic World Dominion. Before we dive into it, though, what are you guys drinking?
Oh, I'm really boring. I'm sorry.
Water.
I am drinking water. I'm sorry. But in a coffee mug.
Okay, that's interesting.
It's only because I had to be up at 5 to train. So I wanted to be able to be up at 5.
That's fair.
Nice.
How about you guys?
I am drinking a Bellwood Brewery Ghost Orchid IPA.
Ooh.
Haven't had this one, so
bringing us along for the ride.
Tastes like every other IPA, so.
Nice.
I get made fun of at work so much because I like IPAs, and like I work in a factory, so I work with like ex-truck drivers and like big burly men, and I'm not going to say what they call it because it's very derogatory, but yeah, they're not fans of it, and I get made fun of a lot because I always joke with them that I'm going to buy them a case of beer. As long as it's not that pussy shit, I'll drink it.
Well, I'm glad you stand in your truth.
Yeah, I don't care.
I love IPAs.
Yeah, thank you. I'm on the vodka soda, like Cottage Springs, Ontario Peach. It's my favorite flavor.
Yeah, those are good.
That sounds good. Yeah, you guys are probably like, so what? You have to get up at 5. But I don't function that well. My husband can drink, and then get up and kind of brush it off with a cup of coffee. Yep. Not me. I'll be calling in sick.
So we'll not get you drunk tonight. All right. Starting off the synopsis. 4 years after the destruction of Isla Nublar, dinosaurs now live and hunt alongside humans all over the world. This fragile balance will reshape the future and determine once and for all whether human beings are to remain the apex predators on a planet they now share with history's most fearsome creatures in a new era. That is a fucking sick synopsis.
Yeah, that was
It
good.
is, but I feel like once you watch the movie, it's like they kind of deceived us a little bit because like you only get like a smidgen of like the dinosaurs in the real world with them.
Yeah, that's one of my issues. But yeah, I mean, that's a really well written synopsis, regardless of whether it's misleading or not. I really
it gets
liked
people in seats, right?
It does. It does. So do the OG3 that are in the movie. This movie was directed by Colin Trevorrow. He directed Jurassic World and Safety Not Guaranteed. He also produced Fallen Kingdom and Jurassic World Camp Cretaceous, which is a show that I like to watch with my kids.
My kid loves it too.
It's so good. And he was the writer of all 3 Jurassic World movies and Star Wars, The Rise of Skywalker, which I thought was pretty interesting.
Yeah, I think,
go ahead.
I think Spielberg, so listen to the Big Pictures episode on Dominion. I think Spielberg like chose him to like kind of carry the franchise, like revamp it, so to speak. So I think Spielberg had like this guy, like, okay, this guy can take care of the franchise.
Okay, that's interesting. Now that all 3 of the movies in his trilogy have been released and we've watched them all, do you think that was a good choice?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I think anyone who got the job would have been like under a lot of scrutiny, I think.
Of course.
But he didn't direct the second one. I guess
he produced it and he wrote it.
He wrote it. So yeah. I don't know. Felicia.
Yeah. I'm looking because I did rank all of the Jurassic franchise, all the different ones of how I liked them. And I would say I like all the Jurassic Worlds more than the second and third Jurassic Park.
Whoa.
Okay.
That's a bold take.
But I mean, my number one of all time is Jurassic Park.
Of course.
But yeah, the rest of them, I mean, my number 1 and 2 are really solid. Jurassic Park and Jurassic World, the first of each.
Okay.
And then the other ones kind of fall in line. But as far as I enjoyed them, yeah, I would say I liked those more than 2 and 3 of Jurassic Park.
Okay.
Do you want me to leave?
No.
I'm kidding.
Jurassic Park 3. What was it even called?
It was just Jurassic Park 3.
Was it just
3?
Yeah.
I'm not a huge fan of that one, but The Lost World I find really, really good.
Oh yeah, I like the Jurassic Park 3 was my least. It was at the bottom of my list. I have Jurassic Park 3, Tia Leone, that one.
Yeah. Okay, so you guys think that Colin Trevorrow did a good enough job to not so much as well as Steven Spielberg, obviously, but he did a good enough job.
Yeah.
With the franchise.
And I mean, like they made a ton of money.
Fuck yeah.
Jurassic World made like 1.6 billion or something like that. And I think Fallen Kingdom did like 1.3. And then I'm not sure what the projection is for this one, but I'm sure it will be up there. Maybe not as much as Jurassic World, but
yeah, I don't know how I feel. I liked Jurassic World a lot, but then
me too.
Fallen Kingdom wasn't that great, and I'll save my thoughts on this one till later on. But yeah, I definitely prefer the first trilogy.
I'm kind of mixed. Kind of mixed in.
Yeah. So moving on to the cast, we have Chris Pratt, obviously, who plays Owen. He's in Guardians of the Galaxy, the previous Jurassic World movies, Parks and Rec, the Lego movie. He's voicing Garfield in the upcoming movie, which
and Mario
and Super Mario. That's right. Onward, Jennifer's Body, and Her. You guys like Chris Pratt? feel like
Yeah.
everybody kind of likes him.
Yeah, I love
I
Chris
think
Pratt.
he's just
yeah.
a likable guy.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think just
Yeah.
like from Parks and Rec, like just watching that show and then seeing him just emerge into like this big movie star, I think I just love those kind of stories.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
I feel like his character in Parks and Rec is how he probably is in real life too. Just like a goofy guy. Next up, we have Bryce Dallas Howard, who played Claire. She was also in the previous Jurassic World movies, The Help, Pete's Dragon, the remake, The Twilight Saga, Spider-Man 3, The Village, and Lady in the Water.
I believe she was at a Black Mirror episode too.
Yes, she was.
Yeah, I love that episode.
Yeah, that was great.
I don't remember which one that was.
It's the
about
one
the likes.
Yeah.
Social media.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Next, I have DeWanda Wise, who plays Kayla Watts. She was in Fatherhood, The Harder They Fall, Someone Great, and She's Gotta Have It. Don't really recognize her because I don't think I've seen any of the stuff that she's been in.
Me
Yeah, I
neither.
don't think so neither.
And lastly, or sorry, not lastly.
I was like, whoa, lastly?
Yeah.
Wait a second.
Who are you leaving out?
Well, okay. I have a spot for them. Next, I have Mamoudou Athie, who plays Ramsey. He's in The Circle, Black Box, Underwater, Archive 81, and a little known movie called Patty Cakes that came out a little while ago. I can't remember how long ago. I randomly stumbled upon it, and it's about this overweight girl who wants to be a rapper, and it's just like her journey throughout getting to where she wants to be. And it sounds like such a stupid movie, but it was actually really, really good.
Sounds
Interesting.
Yeah. But yeah, it's funny. And Archive 81, I think we've all watched that now.
I've only
I
seen the
got
first
through like
episode.
half of it, I think, so far.
Oh, okay.
But I think he's a great actor.
Yeah, he is. I just remember us talking about Archive 81 in our group chat whenever it first
Yeah.
came out. But yeah, it's really good. Okay, before we get to the honorable mentions, which is where I'm going to get scrutinized about because I have our main people in there. The last actor that I have on this list is Campbell Scott. And I had to put him on the list because in the trivia, it's kind of a wild story. So Campbell Scott plays Lewis Dodgson,
Yes.
who was in the original Jurassic Park. He was the guy that Wayne Knight's character meets up with. Brooke, whenever we did our Jurassic Park episode, I said in the book, the Jurassic Park book, this subplot is a lot bigger than it is in the movie. And I couldn't remember what the rival company's name was that Lewis Dodgson works for, but it's Biosyn, who is like a big character in this movie. But yeah, so he has a way bigger role in the book and in The Lost World. Apparently, I haven't read that one yet though. But anyways, they brought him back. Well, they brought the character back. Biosyn is not mentioned in Steven Spielberg's Jurassic Park, which finds actor Cameron Thor playing Dodgson. But Cameron Thor is now a convicted sex offender, which is why the role had to be recast.
Wow.
Oh, okay. So they had the guy from the original Jurassic Park cast it's this, but he's a sex offender, so they got rid of him and recast him.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so the fact that it was Dodgson,
yeah,
I ran around blowing people's minds with this. I was like, he's the guy with the barbell can in the beginning. Like, oh my God. But this, you up leveled it.
Yeah. I was hoping you would have went like, Dodgson, we got Dodgson here.
See, look, nobody cares.
Yeah, I didn't really notice until like late in the movie that it was like the same character because he just have like the same hair. And then they just like showed the Barbasol can. And I was like, oh, wait, okay, it's Dodgson. That's him.
Yeah.
I did not put two and two together. I just thought they were reintroducing that can. Like they found it until after when I was looking at, research and stuff.
Yeah. So he's worked his way up the ranks at Biosyn and he's now like the director or something like that.
That's cool.
At the lab.
But how did he get that can? Because Wayne Knight's character didn't deliver them.
Yeah, that's true, eh? I don't know.
Didn't what? Twitter him?
Deliver them.
Oh, sorry.
They didn't have Twitter in
It's like, I don't think they had
1993.
Twitter. Yeah, I think it's kind of like, they probably excavated, around that area because the truck was there and that's where the dead body was maybe. And they knew
Right,
that
yeah.
that's where it was. I mean, just making all of that up, but
Yeah.
it's possible. They're like, we know he had it. So let's like, look.
There's a really ironic scene towards the end of the movie with Lewis Dodgson as well.
Yes, which I'm very excited to talk about.
Yeah. All right. So for my honorable mentions, the original big three of Laura Dern, Sam Neill, and Jeff Goldblum reprised their roles for this movie. It was the main reason why I was super excited to watch this. Everybody who loves Jurassic Park loves these three characters. And if they don't, then they're wrong. But it was great seeing them all on screen again, although I was a little underwhelmed with them. I don't know why. It just wasn't like, once I saw them, I was like, okay, this is awesome. It's so cool. Like they're coming back. But then watching them on screen, like all three of them together again, I was like, they don't have the same chemistry that they had in that first movie. I didn't find anyways.
I mean, like we'll get into it later because I have like some reasons too why I kind of didn't like feel their characters as much. But it was nice seeing like on the trivia on IMDb that all three of them were like so excited to get back to this franchise and be together again.
I think I might be the odd man out because I love them. I thought they did seem like old friends that hadn't connected in a long time because of their lives. And now they were together, like when Sattler was talking to Malcolm and they were kind of being quiet and talking about it, like obviously they're connected. And I don't know. I liked it. And we probably can't talk about it here. I don't know, but I liked the ending too, because for me, I don't know if I could say it or should I wait?
Yeah, go for it.
I always wanted Sattler and Grant to be together. And I loved how they danced around it and then they kissed at the end and made me so happy. I swear this movie was made for me because that all the nostalgia in it that maybe other people thought was corny, I ate it up. I absolutely loved it.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, I'm nervous for the rest of this episode then.
No, don't be, because I know the reviews are bad. I know that the reviews out there are bad. So I went into it like, okay, well, you know what? I'm just here to see another Jurassic movie. It's fine.
Yeah.
And I ended up really loving it because of all that nostalgia. And so I think it'll be a fun conversation. I won't be sad.
For sure. All right. I also have BD Wong, who has reprised his role once again as Dr. Wu. And then Justice Smith is in this as well. Was he in Jurassic World and Fallen Kingdom? I can't remember.
Which one's Justice Smith?
He was in Detective Pikachu.
Like which character in this movie?
Oh, fuck. I don't know what his name was.
I don't know who Justice
You just
Smith
threw
is.
out the Pikachu movie to me. It's not going to ring that.
Come on. Detective Pikachu is a great movie.
Well, I'm not saying it's not.
I mean, I've only watched it once, and I know that Brady went on like a huge watching spree of that movie, so I'm sure you've seen like a billion times.
This guy.
Oh,
okay.
No, he wasn't in the original one. He was in the other Jurassic Worlds, right? He was the
that's what I meant.
Yeah.
Was he in those ones?
Oh, I thought you meant the Jurassic Park. I'm sorry.
Yeah, he's in Fallen Kingdom. I don't think he's
in
No, he was in Fallen Kingdom. He wasn't in
Jurassic World.
The other one. Yeah.
The first one, yeah.
Yeah, so he came back for this one too. I really like him as an actor.
He was good.
I think he's good. But yeah, do you guys have anyone else that you want to add to this extensive list? Or
no, I don't think so.
Okay. No.
One thing that I did read is that Ariana Richards and what's his name? I have it written down somewhere. Joseph Mazzallo. They wanted to come back, even just as a cameo spot, and they played the kids in Jurassic Park.
Okay. So I was about to look them up. my husband said that. He's like, I wonder why they didn't have the kids. And I'm like,
They both wanted to, and they just didn't bring
they
them
didn't
back.
want them.
Guess not. It would have been really cool because Ariana Richards, like we talked about it in our Jurassic Park episode. She fell in love. Sorry, I have to sneeze. It keeps coming and going in a wave. Okay. But she fell in love with like dinosaurs and stuff like that so much after doing her part in Jurassic Park that she actually went out with the paleontologist who Dr. Grant's character was like loosely based off of. And she went out on like dig sites with him and stuff like that. So she really fell in love with like the whole culture of the paleontology and whatnot. So
that's a bummer that they didn't bring them back.
Yeah, it would have been really cool to like see her come back as a paleontologist or something like that.
Yeah.
That would have been more special than some of the new characters that they introduced, right?
Exactly.
Not that there was anything wrong with them, but I don't know. I think it would have been more special.
Yeah. Yeah, it's unfortunate. All right. Let's talk about this movie.
All right. So in our Jurassic Park episode, me and Mark talked a little bit about how much Jurassic Park meant to us. So Felicia, what does the original Jurassic Park, maybe like the other franchise, mean to you?
Ooh, what a good question. I absolutely love it. It's got to be one of my favorite movies. This franchise is my favorite franchise by far. I remember seeing Jurassic Park in the movie theater when it came out, and I was in high school. And we went and saw it 4 additional times. I remember I had not seen anything like that before in my life with those graphics. I remember screaming at the top of my lungs, like deep fear when that dino was chasing him. I was like, like freaking out. We all were, the whole theater was screaming because that type of realistic graphics was, gosh, like nothing I'd ever seen. I just said before in my life. I fucking loved it. And I went back, like I said, 4 times to see it in the movie theater, immediately bought it on VHS when it came out, and like have loved it ever since. It's the first, I would say, horror movie, if you consider it a horror movie, I have shown my children. They were all around 5, 6 when they watched it. And they all are big. We're a huge Jurassic Park family. We go and see all of them. And it means I have such good memories. And when I watched this particular movie, and I won't go into it because I know you were getting there, but I did mention it already, that nostalgia, I absolutely ate it all up. I was like, oh my God, oh, and it's the thing. Oh my gosh, the thing. And then after, me and the kids, when we're walking out the theater, I'm like, did you see the thing? Oh, did you see the thing? And we were all like talking about it, including my littlest one, who's 9, who we bought the whole series. And I think we watch at least 3 of them every week.
Oh, like, wow.
It's like constantly playing. One of the Jurassic Parks is
awesome.
Playing. Yeah. So if you can't feel my excitement, I love it. And I really wanted to talk about Jurassic Park 1 with you guys, because that is one of my favorite movies. I absolutely love that movie. Yeah. 5 out of 5, 10 out of 10 for me, just because of everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Have you seen the new Apple TV show, Prehistoric Planet?
Oh, yes. God,
it's
I'm a nerd.
Cool.
Okay, yeah.
I was like, very good.
Oh my God, this is like real animals. It's like an animal show, and I made everybody come and watch it. And we were digging it big time.
I think it's so sick how they filmed it. But like you said, like they make it like it's a legit animal documentary. Like you're following like a family of elephants, but no, you're following a family of Tyrannosaurus Rexes. Yeah, it's just such a really, really cool concept.
Yeah, I agree. I love that.
Yeah, it's not at all what I was expecting. Like I was expecting like a typical dinosaur documentary, and then you have Attenborough narrating it, of course, and it makes it even better.
Yeah, I was thinking it was going to be like, like kind of basic graphics.
Yeah,
kind of like those like cable ones that you used to see like back in the day.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm so jealous that you got to see Jurassic Park in theaters.
Yes, that's pretty cool.
That is very cool.
It was my first movie I saw in theaters, but I was like 4 years old, so I don't remember like anything from it except for the lawyer getting eaten. That's the only thing
Oh,
I remember
yes.
from it.
Oh yeah, that's really impactful. Is it because the rest of it you're like scared because as a kid, I mean, I imagine from my own kids seeing it, you're scared of the dinos and everything, but that's the first like you see a man get eaten by the dino.
Yeah.
Brooke, I got to tell you, man, I have been defending Jurassic Park as a horror movie for the last like 3 weeks now to
Really?
a couple of our friends. Yeah, like I like fighting tooth and nail with them and giving full blown like reasoning why it can be considered a horror movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I was going to save this kind of discussion for later, but I felt like this movie was a lot more violent than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if you guys felt the same way. Like, it didn't show a lot of like blood and stuff, but
yeah, you know what? Now that I think about it, I agree. We took my daughter's little friend and I was like, well, what's the scariest movie you've seen? And like, because I'm very aware there's lots of blood and death. And she's like, I'm not going to be scared. And so when something would happen, I remember looking over at her like, I hope it's okay.
This friend is never allowed back at your house.
Yeah, exactly.
What are you showing my daughter? It was violent, but I don't want to go too far into it because it's like a big part of my review later on and whatnot. But yeah, it's a lot more violent, but it's also like a lot less horror.
Yeah. More like action adventure.
It's like action violence.
Yeah.
I'm giggling because each of us are like, well, I won't talk about now because maybe we'll talk about it later. What are we going to talk about now?
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the opening scene before we meet Claire, but it kind of shows all the dinos in the real world. Like you get, there's like a wedding and then like the pterodactyl comes and steals something. And then like the family and like the trailer and the T-Rex is there like trying to eat them.
It's insane, man. Like it's just pure chaos throughout the world with these dinosaurs.
And I forget what dino it is, the one that has like in the Lost World they call it like the Elvis Presley with the pompadour.
Oh
dino,
yeah.
That Chris Pratt like somehow lassos and takes down, even though it's like a 2,000-pound dinosaur. But
I have so many problems with that scene. Like this motherfucker was herding these things like cattle. It's like, come on. Like, what the hell is this?
I have to agree. That was one piece where I was nervous because I was ready. I'm like, okay, I'm watching a Jurassic Park movie. Let's not, I'm not expecting anything spectacular because the reviews. And then I see that and I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Where are we going with this?
This is how we're starting this. Okay.
I was like, Felicia, open mind. Maybe this is what you would be doing if they lived in the world.
Yeah. But like the last scene, one of the last scenes in the movie is it has these dinosaurs like running with the horses. And like a part of me just like got emotional a bit, like seeing these dinos like running with the horses and they're just like part of this world now.
Yeah, I thought that was beautiful. I know exactly what you're talking about. I thought that was very beautiful.
Some of it is really cool, but like at the same time too, you got like realistically, those horses are going to be extinct very fucking soon, probably. Well, I guess they're kind of keeping them within the Biosyn sort of valley or whatever it was that they called it.
Well, that's just the ones that are there, right? That they've captured.
Yeah. But I mean, like, eventually it's the events in this movie are going to turn our Earth into what it was millions of years ago. It's going to be dinosaurs, and that's it. Because everything and everybody is going to get killed or eaten by these things.
Do you think so, though?
How wouldn't they?
I don't know. Like, I was going to ask, like, do you think that we would survive if dinosaurs were here? Because, like, okay, yeah, they're much bigger than, like, we have, like, tigers and grizzly bears and, like, I guess on a smaller scale of, like, predators living among us and, like, I
guess that's how many there would be.
Yeah.
I guess so. If they're located in a certain area, it might be sparse, but we're not going to have lots of T-Rexes crossing like the ocean. So I think depending. Those birds are pretty hardcore, but I think we could duck from the
Yeah.
birds, so I guess it just depends on how many they would be. If they really started infesting and like reproducing everywhere, then yeah, life would be different. We'd be like, you'd have underground pockets, like apocalypse level of people.
But that's like one of the big things that Dr. Wu talks about is they use monitor lizard DNA to fill in the gaps of the raptor's DNA rather than the frogs that they used to use. So now these things can reproduce is it asexually? They don't need they don't need a mate.
Yeah.
They can just reproduce now. So I mean,
there's probably going to be some type population control within themselves though as well. Like, so
yeah,
like these big dinosaurs and like the velociraptors and stuff, they're not like having tons of babies like rabbits, right? They're having a few or a litter.
Yeah.
Eventually maybe like hundreds of years from now, maybe that's where we're headed. Do you think though that humans, because I know all the humans like, no, we can't kill him and all of that in all of these movies. But if they really started to take over, that we might be like, all right, we got to start open hunting licenses for these things.
Yeah.
Velociraptors are the new coyotes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's a good point though. Yeah. I would like to think that the human race would not allow it to happen, but and like, when are people going to start taking them in as pets? Like you see people that have like pet tigers and shit like that. Like, how long is it going to take before fucking Jim Bob down the street starts having a raptor as a pet in his backyard?
100%. Yeah. That would have been cool to see though. The non-meat eating or like the less
herbivores.
See people with them. Because cool. When I see these people with like foxes and like all these everything, I'm like, just let them live. And people are nuts. They get all these types of exotic animals. That would have been kind of cool. I guarantee there's people, in that world that have some of those like little dinos as pets.
I wouldn't mind riding around with like a triceratops or something.
There's a slow ride.
That opening scene with Claire when we see the baby rhino or triceratops, oh my god, my heart. It was so cute. And
with
then
the big eyes,
they end up saving one and they go in the field and then the triceratops just demolishes the one truck.
Yes, that was great.
I'm always sad though because like that's my favorite dinosaur and they don't get like that much screen time in the movies. But the little bit I get, I love.
Yeah. They had that really sweet. So you probably like that sweet callback with Sattler when she sees the baby and she's like, it never gets old. So I remember I got emotional with Jurassic Park, the original, when she goes on the dino and is like petting it and he lays on the Triceratops. And that was just so beautiful. Their reactions to these dinosaurs.
Yeah.
There was a lot of callbacks in this movie to the past. Did you guys think like it was kind of like overwhelming or like I
found it to be almost lazy filmmaking to the point of that, because there was so many scenes that we have already seen before. And I was just like, God, like there's not a lot of originality to this movie.
Yeah.
It's like they're using scenes that we've seen with these original three characters and they're just like kind of bringing them back and sort of changing them around a little bit.
Yeah.
Which I mean, it's cool if you have like scenes where it's paying homage to them, but like to completely recreate these scenes and like do it multiple times throughout the movie, I don't know. I didn't like it. It kind of left a bad taste in my mouth.
Yeah, I have so I loved it, but this was a nostalgia movie. Yeah. So I definitely did not feel like I agree with what you're saying, that this was like this new original movie. There was so many callbacks and I was digging them because it was reminding me again, it was bringing me back to those days when I saw this movie for the first time. So I laughed and I really liked them, but left with, this was a nostalgia movie. This was a movie to call back all that, a few new dinos. So that was cool. But other than that, there wasn't much else to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I liked Ian Malcolm a lot. Like he was just Jeff Goldblum being Jeff Goldblum. I didn't like how they wrote the original three into the movie. I thought their storylines to get them there was very lazy, and I just didn't like it. But I did like the scene with like Goldblum when his like shirt is like unbuttoned a bit.
Yes.
The girl's like looking at him. He's like, oh,
So good. Yes, I love that.
And then like when they're getting up to Biosyn and they find out that Ian Malcolm works there, and I think it's Ramsey or someone says like, oh, how much chaos is like there or something like that, because he's like a chaotician or whatever it is that he does.
I loved it. I loved how the dino, people probably hate this, went into the circle and it was like the logo. It was super quick. I did T-Rex.
Yeah. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
You brought up, Brooke, that you didn't really like how they wrote the characters in, and I fully agree. Like Ellie, she was a paleobotanist and she was a damn good one in Jurassic Park. And now all of a sudden she's like a glorified 4-H member going around to farms and like checking on crops and shit like that. I don't know. Like, how do you go from being a paleobotanist to checking on farmers' crops?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, she was specifically checking on the crops because of the locusts, right? And the stuff that was happening there. I wonder if, so she's a paleobotanist, but now we have all of these prehistoric plants, and this has been years and years and years of it that exist, right? That they've grown. And her role has maybe changed and developed, like just like Claire and her two friends where they're rescuing the dinos. So since the world has changed, maybe some of their focuses has changed, except for Grant. He's like, nope, I'm sticking to the bones. So I kind of I like bought into it. I really liked her. I like Laura Dern in general, and I liked her character. And I thought it was interesting but I did feel that whole, like the locust thing was interesting, but I felt like I don't know, that whole thing. So this guy created these locusts, and now only the biosyn seed, they don't eat the biosyn seeds. Now all the farmers are going to want biosyn seed. This is like massively evil, but the main guy, Dodgson, didn't seem that evil. Like he seemed like he had a conscience at times, that he was kind of struggling. So I didn't think that was very baked out. And it's probably along to what you guys are saying. That was how to get those characters in. But that's kind of, that's what I think.
Yeah, like the whole locust plot line, it didn't make sense. Like it didn't even seem like Dodgson even knew what he was doing. Like I guess they're trying to control the food, like the food control in the world now. And then even like Henry is like, we created these locusts, like we need to stop this. And Dodgson is like, yeah, I guess it didn't really work. And I don't know. But that scene with the locust with the two little kids was done very well. Yes. That was very scary.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. That scene was pretty scary.
Those locusts were scary and gross.
They were huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say something. I can't remember what it was though.
So if she was working with prehistoric plants, maybe nowadays she is not necessarily just checking on farmers' crops, but specifically to how plants and agriculture are being affected by now these new dinosaurs or dino bugs that are part of our world.
That's fair. But they don't really let you in on that.
Yeah.
It's just like, we know her as a paleobotanist who worked alongside Dr. Grant and looking for plant fossils and stuff like that. And now it's just like we finally see her back 5 movies later, and she's, I don't know, her main focus is crops. But that is a good point. I mean, these dinosaurs are living in the world with us now.
Yeah, because what was she was in another one. Was it I believe it was must have been 2.
She was in 3 a little bit.
Yeah.
But she was like, she had 2 kids now, and she like had a new husband. It was just like a little part.
And they didn't mention what she did. at all? Or
I
what her
don't think
focus was
so.
on?
No, not that I remember. Yeah.
Yeah, so we already know that her life has changed. I'm just defending her.
Yeah.
But that whole thing with the locust, yeah, it was kind of like, that sucks. The guy was like, oh, shoot, I got out of control. I don't know.
And then whenever she went to Alan Grant, I liked their characters, but I felt like their kind of relationship felt forced and like super awkward. Like, I'm glad they ended up together in the end, like happy story and all that, but I don't know, it just felt like it was a forced kind of relationship. I don't know.
I do agree, but I think it's been so long since they've seen each other, so I feel like there would be that sort of awkwardness in real life if this were to happen. But I do agree. And I was really surprised at how early they brought them in too. Like, I was expecting them to come in like midway through the movie, but they bring them in like the first like 20 minutes, half an hour maybe.
Yeah. I mean, another problem I have with this movie, I don't want to shit on it the whole time. Sorry, Felicia, but
It's okay.
At times it did feel like 4 or 5 different movies because it jumped from location to location very quick. So it did felt like many movies in one.
Oh, I agree with you on that. There was
bring
like the kid, we got to save the kid because the kid is the clone. They want the kid. No, then there's these underground animal poacher people. And then, oh no, there's this over here with the locusts. And yeah, there was just, that's why I think like we just wanted it to be a nostalgia movie. That was the highlight of it, where all the callbacks, and then there's all this other stuff, right, to bring into it.
Exactly. Like, I think with this franchise, apart from the original Jurassic Park, that these movies aren't like good podcast movies, like to critique over, like you're not going in it to look for like an amazing movie, except for the first one, but they're just fun. Like, I just pre-ordered the whole box set, including this movie.
Fucking nuts, man.
And like, I'm going to rewatch this movie over and over again. I'm going to love it probably, but just like from like the critic's eye, looking at it.
Yeah. I agree with that. We're going to buy it too. We have all the rest of them. So
I think like the underground poacher thing was just completely unnecessary. Like, I understand Biosyn wanting Maisie, but I don't know. And like that whole the whole cloning thing of her, like that she's a clone of her mother. It's just
her mother asexually procreated her.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And like, I guess that was in Fallen Kingdom, and I don't remember that from her, because I guess that's whenever Owen and Claire found her and kidnapped her, but I didn't remember that storyline at all. So like, during this movie, I was kind of like, okay, so like, is she like the Terminator or something? Like, why is she so special?
Yeah, like they was clear that we thought that she was cloned from his daughter who died, and he was so sad his daughter died that he cloned her. And I think that was fine to leave it at that. But now she was, her mother created her without a man because her mother was the clone, and then injected her with all of this stuff that would save the world and kill the locusts. I don't know.
It's just so far-fetched.
Yeah.
And like out to left field.
And then
crazy town.
To add to that, like, they kind of had Blue as like this side character who is still kind of like hanging around Owen. And like, she's kind of like the same as Maisie. Like, she produces the baby by itself, and then they both get kidnapped, and then like, it's so ridiculous. But the scene, like, whenever Owen is like talking to Blue, like, I'll get your kid back, and like Blue is like, okay, yeah.
Yeah, it's like Maisie and Beta is the name of the baby raptor. Okay. It's almost like they have this special connection because they're clones of their mother, basically.
Yeah.
Which I mean, it would be cool if they had more of that story arc, because like they're in Biosyn together, they're locked up in there together, and then Maisie lets Beta out, and then they just go their separate ways, and they're never together again until the end of the movie. It would be cool if they were like alongside each other throughout the whole thing.
Yeah, and then get rid of the locusts.
Yeah.
I mean, the locusts are cool. Maybe the locusts are just like in an opening scene of like, wow, that's scary. Look at how the dinos are affecting the world.
Yeah.
And then move on and then have that.
Mm-hmm.
It is silly. I mean, but if we don't know how dinos would act. And so, Owen had this very special connection, trained these velociraptors, which blew everyone's minds.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe there is just, he's in so many movies with her, maybe they just have this intense bond. There is a little cringe that happened when he puts his hand out.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah.
No. And you're just like, oh, geez. But maybe they do. And then she does that, right? Macy starts to do that. But, maybe Blue's like, loves him and is connected, kind of like, like the neighborhood cat that just goes door to door to eat and, is kind of your pet, but not.
Yeah. I guess they, for like the locusts, they kind of needed some bad thing that Biosyn did, because like the big picture of Biosyn, like they have this huge like sanctuary in Italy or wherever it is. It's like beautiful, they go there and they see like animals in cages before they transport them to the sanctuary. So like on the outside, it seems like it's a really nice thing. And maybe they need this like locust kind of side piece.
What if it's focused on Macy and wanting to clone humans? Because that's a whole next level ethical sort of thing. I don't know the rest of the story, but what if we're just focused on Macy and they kidnap her for whatever, to test her DNA to see what they could do?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just like they put so many different side stories in that it didn't even feel like the movie was about dinosaurs anymore.
Yeah. And I think they added a couple too many characters. Like they add, when we get to the black market in Malta, there's this another kind of evil assassin woman who ends up is like kidnapping her, and she has like the three, I don't know if they're raptors, but they're like a version of raptors. And like they have her character, then they have, I think, Kayla, who is like the escort, and then she just happens to start helping Claire and Owen. And then you have Ramsey, who is like a bad guy working with Biosyn, but then like betrays Biosyn and helps everyone.
Yeah.
Who
else? I was like, who is that woman? And I realized it. The assassin lady in white. She looked identical to the Syndrome's partner in The Incredibles. Number 2.
She did actually. Yeah. Yes. Now that you say that. Yeah.
I was staring at her, and after I was like, girls, who is that? And they're like, Mom, from The Incredibles. Like, oh, yeah. She looks just like her.
That's amazing.
That's great. You guys keep talking. I'll be right back.
All right.
Keep going.
Go ahead.
Yeah, but to say with what you were saying, I agree. My husband was mentioning, he's like, they just introduced characters and they didn't introduce any of their backstory. Like, who is this person? Where do they come from? And I was like, true. However, gosh, that would have been a long ass movie. They introduced so many new people. How are we going to, I don't even know if I'd want to hear all the backstories to all of these people.
Yeah. And I mean, it was a long movie. It's like 2.5 hours long, but honestly, I didn't feel like it was that long. Like, I was still enjoying myself and like engaged in the movie. So I felt like the runtime wasn't a problem for me at all, like the pacing or anything like that.
Oh yeah. I didn't feel bored at all either.
Yeah.
Like I thought the pacing was really good.
Yeah. What do you think of the underground dino black market that they had going on? Like the fights between the dinosaurs and, oh man.
So I thought that that was a piece that okay, so it didn't bother me. I could see what
Mhm.
I think Mark was saying earlier, like why did they have that? Or maybe you were mentioning that,
Yeah,
like they didn't
Mark did,
really
yeah.
need all that. They totally didn't. It did seem like this whole other world. However, that would happen. And it was sad because that's what they do, with like dogs and stuff. So it was really sad to see all those dinos in there and stuff. There were two things. First, I thought it was a little silly because Owen and Claire specifically stuck out like a sore thumb in that place. They're like, just don't look at anybody. They don't even need to look at anybody. Claire walking around with her red hair, and she's like, and then she's so loud. Hey, have you seen this girl? I was like, I thought we were supposed to be on the down low here.
Yeah.
And the second piece I noticed with this movie, and it's not necessarily bad, but I think with maybe it is. They used a lot of animatronics in this versus what am I trying to say? Digital. I don't even know if I'm saying it right, but it kept sticking out to me like, oh, that dino looks like it's like practical, like it's a animatronic.
Yeah.
Versus like graphic, like the T-Rex and stuff. I noticed more and more of that, and I don't know if you guys have. I was gonna look it up, but I was wondering why they did that, why they made that move, because it did bring me out of it a little bit. Because if you think of it was Jurassic World. Oh yeah, Jurassic World, the first one. In the very, very beginning, where there's the little dino breaking out of the egg.
Yeah.
It was so realistic with the little eye and its little it was so cool. Yeah. And now they have these very fake looking dinos sprinkled throughout this one. And that was something that took me out of it.
That's very interesting you say that, because I thought you would have said like the opposite, because like the original Jurassic Park is like mostly animatronics. And I just watched Jurassic World, and I read an interview with Trevorrow, who said that he wanted to do more animatronics in Jurassic World, but it was hard because the main dinosaur, whatever the main bad one was, it was like too fast and had too much stuff going on where they couldn't do the animatronics. So they had to do a lot of CGI for that one.
Oh, man. All I know is of all the movies I've seen of these Jurassic movies, I am like bought into it and blown away. Yeah. And then this one, I kept thinking, oh, that dino looks fake. Not the big ones, like the big main ones, but especially in this scene with the underground.
Yeah.
And some of the ones that were in cages and stuff, I thought that they looked fake.
Okay. How do you feel about all that, Mark?
I agree with Felicia. I did find that a lot of them looked fake. I mean, the CGI parts and whatnot, like they were good enough, but I just know 10 years down the road that they're gonna look like shit.
Because you remember that scene with the dino in I think it was Fallen Kingdom, and that one, that's the one where the lava like consumed the island and stuff. Right?
Yeah.
When she had to get the blood from the T-Rex, I thought that thing looked real. That was like phenomenal. And so I was just surprised that so many of them, especially the little ones, like the babies, didn't look more real.
Yeah, I was a little disappointed with the look of some of them.
Interesting.
What about you, Brooke?
I felt the complete opposite. That's why I'm like surprised. I don't know. I like the animatronics more than them just doing CGI. Like I feel like the animatronics might not like look as real as they could do with CGI, but I don't know, I just appreciate it more.
I appreciate it more for sure. But I mean, if you look back at Jurassic Park, I feel like they did a better job with the animatronics back in 1993 than they did in 2022.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
Which is crazy.
I feel that way. Yeah. Because I appreciate it too.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I wouldn't want to see a movie filled with CGI dinosaurs. Like I'm glad that they took the route of doing a lot of the animatronics, but for whatever reason, and maybe it's because excuse me, maybe it's because they're getting more brave, I guess we could say, with the types of dinosaurs that they have now. Like there's so many different dinosaurs introduced in these movies.
Yeah.
Whereas in Jurassic Park, we only had like maybe 5 that had like a lot of screen time. So maybe it's harder to create or recreate, these different types of dinosaurs. Like some of them I didn't even know were fucking real dinosaurs until I just looked them up right now.
The problem with it's not a problem, but just as we're getting further into technology, they can, like with Jurassic World, they splice and create the Indominus Rex.
Yeah.
Like it's like a raptor, but mixed with a T-Rex. So like they're creating these new raptors, and then like the raptors that like the assassin girl has, they're like they only hunt like when she points a laser at people, like they're like honed in on them.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say there's one that's in it called a Pyroraptor, which is fucking crazy.
Yeah,
it's like the red and black looking raptor that legit looks like a bird, like it has wings and stuff. It's crazy. Like I'm looking it up right now.
The one that chases them in the ice, right?
Yeah. That's I didn't think that one was a real one. And there's one later on.
Same too. With the bird, the giant bird dinosaur.
Yeah.
The Rhizinosaurus.
Yeah, I called that one.
That's my favorite.
I called that one the Freddykreugersaurus.
Freddy, yes.
That's amazing.
That was my favorite part of the movie.
The end,
that particular dino. I thought the way it stalked and the way it moved and the way it looked, I was like, this is fucking what I'm here for. It is so good.
It's got like
how it went over the water.
Yeah.
And love that.
Yeah, we'll get to that scene now.
Okay, sorry. Okay.
I love the water scene, except I am kind of mad that they showed that scene in the trailer. Like it kind of took it away from me a bit, like the suspense of it. And like that was a beautifully shot scene.
Yeah.
But it did kind of take away the suspense. It's like, oh, I've seen this already. But I thought it was hilarious. Like when the deer was like standing there and it like goes up to it, just fucking
bitch slaps
it away because like it's a herbivore, right? It's like a bird kind of dino. So I don't think it like eats meat. It's just like, fuck you.
It's wild that it's a herbivore because this thing has claws on it that are like 12 inches long. Like it's just, it would be a perfect killing machine, but it has that mouth with like the it's almost like a snout, like a hooked kind of bird's snout. So I mean, it kind of makes sense that it would be a herbivore, but yeah, I thought it was a really cool looking dinosaur. And I honestly, like, I didn't even know that it was a real dinosaur. Like I thought it was just one that that it was like they did gene splicing and created this thing.
Yeah.
That thing was so cool. Yeah, it's even eating plants in that scene at one point. Yeah, I love how I think I laughed actually when it bitch slapped that deer. There's a lot of like whack, It's just very territorial. That thing was so cool. That was my favorite.
But just going back to the black market scene, the like one of the main bad guys who like captures Maisie, he's like fighting with Owen, and then like the one dino escapes and just like bites his head off. I thought was great.
Yeah.
And then there was one scene that like I legit jumped out of my seat, like with like joy, and like I was like, holy shit, was there was like these 2 like mini T-Rexes that were like in there that escaped. And then whenever Owen is like running on his motorcycle, the 2 like dinos are like in this plaza, and then like some guy in a scooter is just like going between them, and one of them just like chomps down and hits him, and I like legit was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
In the
it
movie.
Was so good. Yes, that was
God.
so good.
Poor guy.
I liked this scene too of so I watched a trailer. I agree with you, Brooke. I'm really glad I watched a version of the trailer that didn't have that big bird dino, so I'm really glad I didn't see that. But on the flip side, I'm glad that Owen wasn't riding on the motorcycle with velociraptors, because from the trailer I thought, Really? They're having them ride with velociraptors, but the velociraptors were chasing them. And I loved watching them like slide off the roofs and slam into things, and they were trying to kill them. So I thought that was pretty cool.
It was a really cool chase scene. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just gonna start calling Claire Wonder Woman because like in Jurassic World, she's like in high heels the whole movie, running away from dinosaurs. And then in this movie, she's like on top of the roofs, just like parkouring away from the raptor.
Right.
Oh, you go, girl.
Yes. I really liked that when they were in the apartment and it was really close quarters with that dino, and they shone the light on her, so the dino was going to get her, and she I would be dead. Yeah. Probably. No, maybe not. Not if I survive this many movies.
Yeah, and I did like the scene whenever Owen is like getting away from the raptor, like on the motorcycle, and then like the scene of him going up into the airplane and the raptor like jumps up. And
it was cool.
I thought it was awesome.
Yeah, and the motorcycle slides off it and smashes him off. That was cool.
That was really cool. Yeah.
What do you guys think of Alan and Ellie like kind of getting, because Ian Malcolm gives them the card key, and you mentioned this at the beginning of the episode, but I did love the scene whenever Ian like pulls her to the side and is like faking talk to her, and Alan is like, I was dying laughing, like the Starbucks guy, and he's like explaining the different coffees, and Alan is like, what, like what's going on? He's like, okay, now we'll start with the milk. You got oat milk, and Alan doesn't know what's happening.
I loved that. I thought that was real cute, all of that interaction.
Yeah. But yeah, I felt like they did get into like Biosyn very easily. Like, how does Ian have that high of level authority to get to like the Locust, which are like the super secret thing that only like Henry and Dodgson really know about?
Well, and the whole crew back there, right? That's working that back area. And, you know, though, this is the odd part. Like Dodgson didn't, if he was supposed to be super massively secretive and evil, he wasn't. So you can almost buy into that character would bring Malcolm and say, hey, this is what we're thinking, and want his advice on the chaos theory, because they didn't think it was going to go the way that it went. And there were several times where they were like, what should we do? And Dodgson was like, oh, fine, do it, you know, because he wasn't truly evil, besides when he stopped that cart, right, with that the crew was on underground. But it seems like he was struggling with himself, and so he wasn't like truly evil, which isn't bad, but in a sense it is, because his part is so small, and just to really, really, I don't know, give more power and depth to that particular part. I don't know. No, there is cameras everywhere. At first, when the one guy that was kind of taking him around wasn't watching them very closely, and then finally when he was like, don't go that way, I'm like, oh, because he's in on it. But then you're right, they very easily accessed all areas. No one was there, no one was watching, no one was watching cameras apparently until, like, you know, when shit started to get real. But yeah, I do want to say, like, how poorly constructed was this building that all of those locusts could just blow out of the roof. Now, I liked the fire,
let them out. Or did they break the ceiling?
They escaped.
I think they broke it. Yeah, like he just lit them on fire. And
it was
then
a glass. I think it was a glass ceiling.
Okay, so I was like, dude, you just destroyed all the dinosaurs that you brought here. Like,
I mean.
And then he didn't even want to evacuate. He was like, no, we're not. And then like the whole team is like, no, we need to evacuate. Then he like gets mad and like punches the seat.
Yeah. I thought that whole scene with the flaming locusts was so fucking stupid. Like, it looked cool, like it was visually cool, but I was like, this is like, they're on fire. they're not going to be flying around like this in like a big group, like a flock of locusts. Like they have wings, like paper wings, right? Like they're not going to be flying around if they're on fire. And like they fly around for a while, like they bust through this glass ceiling and they're flying all through the city, and then all of a sudden they start dropping down like meteors. And I don't know if that's the visual that they're going for, because like that's how dinosaurs became extinct, right? Well, I don't know why I'm doing air quotations. That's how dinosaurs became extinct. That is how it happened.
I think that's what they were going for. Now that you say that,
like it kind of looked like that. But it was so far-fetched, and I've said this word a lot during this episode, but I was watching and I was like, okay, it looks cool, but at the same time it's fucking stupid.
I agree. When I saw this, I was like, they literally just did this because it looks cool. Because what horrifically poor planning that all they had to do was get into a group and they could bust out of the ceiling of that place. I mean, come on.
But up until like the dino market scene, like throughout the movie, I was like, fuck, I feel like there's not enough dinosaurs in this movie. But then like from the black market on, I was very happy with how many dinosaurs they had in the last, act and a half. We kind of mentioned the what'd you call it, Mark? The fire raptor or whatever?
Pyroraptor.
Pyroraptor. I liked that scene a lot, actually.
Yeah, it was really cool.
Ooh, that was tense.
It was
intense. I was like, oh.
Well, because I thought they were safe once the ice started to crack. I was like, okay, like they're gonna separate from this thing and they're gonna be safe. Nope, this motherfucker could swim, and he could swim well.
Yes. And then he went under and he was like turning to swim towards him. That was great. I have to say I was disappointed by the Gigantosaurus. I felt like it was maybe 2 inches bigger than the T-Rex. It just wasn't. I thought personally, this might be controversial, the Indoraptor with its clicking and it's the way it looked, and it was way scarier than this Gigantosaurus. I thought, why even introduce the Gigantosaurus? I think that bird thing with the Freddy bird was way more scary than the Gigantosaurus, and they could have just or give us something way more intense. And that's the largest one, and it happens to be a couple inches bigger than the T-Rex, I guess, but it just wasn't. I don't know. It just wasn't impactful to me.
I mean, with that last scene, I feel like we're always expecting, we know what's going to happen. We've seen this in every movie they have, but I'm always excited for it. Anyway.
This one was very anticlimactic. Like in this end scene, we have 2 instances of them repeating what they've done in the past. We have the fight between the Gigantosaurus and the T-Rex, which happens in Fallen. Well, it happens in all of them, like you said, Brooke. But this one really reminded me of the one that happened in Fallen Kingdom. And then we have the scene with Malcolm with his fire stick, and he's like waving it around and like distracting the T-Rex, or the Gigantosaurus, I should say, like how he did in the first movie with the T-Rex, right? But I found like the fight between the 2 dinosaurs at the end of Fallen Kingdom was so much more well done than this one. I like how it ended, but it was just like this scene ended and I was just like, that could have been like a little bit longer. There could have been more to it.
I forget the ending of Fallen Kingdom, so I can't really compare.
The giant ocean one finally comes after they fight, and then the ocean.
That was Jurassic World.
Oh, Fallen Kingdom is out. Oh, with the black and gold dino, the Indoraptor, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
and
it
was like a really long fight between the 2 of them.
You're right. Yeah.
Like it was like a Godzilla versus Kong type fight. Like they were going at it for a while.
But this fight, it was very short, but I did go fucking nuts whenever they like tag teamed it. And like I didn't even realize what happened, because like he pushed the Gigantosaur into him and then you just see like his claws go through him. I was like, He just Wolverine his ass. Oh my
Yes.
god.
That's what I mean. Like, I like how it ended. I thought it was a really cool way
Yeah.
for them to kill it, but it was just, yeah, like the Gigantosaurus kicks the T-Rex's ass, and then all of a sudden the Therizinosaurus, I don't know if that's how you pronounce it or not, but
Mhm.
Freddykreugersaurus, he shows up, and Felicia, you talked about it earlier, like you loved how it just like kind of walks around, and it walks around like almost like Wolverine. Like it walks in like it's like ready to
Yeah.
fuck shit up. It's got these
Yes.
big long
He's like
claws
Conor
on it.
McGregor coming up the ring.
Yes,
Like he's got
yes.
that swag going on.
Yes. And you just kind of see like the silhouette of it. And I was like, okay, this is going to be cool. And then the T-Rex's eyes open back up, and then it jumps up and it knocks the fucking Gigantosaurus into it. And it's like how you said, its claws are just there. But it was just like great ending, but poor delivery on the whole fight.
Yeah.
The fight wasn't as intense as
Mhm.
you know, the Velociraptors and the T-Rex in Jurassic Park,
Yeah.
or the Endoraptor, or the one, and I liked that raptor too in Jurassic World, the first one,
Mhm.
the one that could, you know, hide or I was going to say shapeshift, and that's not camouflage. Camouflage is what I'm trying
Yeah.
to say. That thing was fucking scary. I loved that thing. And that was an epic fight too, with that ocean pulling him in.
Mhm.
So anyway, sorry, because I talked about a bunch of, so hopefully you saw all those movies if you're listening to this, but you're right, though they were so epic and they went on and they were so intense. And this one was kind of like a little back and forth. And then,
Mhm.
yeah, but I did like it too, Brooke. I as
Mhm.
well.
A few more scenes I wanted to talk about. I felt like whenever Dodgson stopped the train that our three main characters are on, and they're going through like the tunnel, I felt like they could have like got rid of that scene. I feel like they could have had that as like a deleted scene, because you didn't really get much out of it. Although there was like a jump scare in it whenever Alan Grant was like going up the ladder and like the dino comes out. I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
I
Uh,
screamed.
Yeah, I was really scared from that scene too. And then Alan's like, his hat is like dropped, and like Ellie's like, forget about your hat, and like he goes and gets his hat. It's like, oh my god.
I agree with you. Like I could see if they didn't have it. But then on the other hand, I loved that jump scare because that was the one jump scare.
Mhm.
And I screamed. And then it was pretty intense when they were trying to get the code, and fucking
Oh, yeah.
Malcolm is like, he's literally gonna guess this. I liked that whole thing where he's like, there are like a billion something possibilities, let's try this. And like they would never guess this, and how he thought he guessed it. I thought that was
Yeah.
funny, and I liked all of that.
Mhm.
But yeah, I could get what you're saying as well.
And then we have Dodgson's death.
Oh, we're
Which
saving
he
the
was-
best.
Yeah, he was kind of like a coward in this movie, but I love when he's like in the train, they stop him, exactly what he did to them. And I
Mhm.
love, like, I laughed. He's like goes to the tunnel, and like the little like bursts of air are like coming, and like it scares him like 3 times. He's like, oh, fuck off.
Yeah. Yes, I laughed at that. I would have the same reaction.
Yeah. But then they bring in, are they the Diplosaurus?
Dilophosaurus.
Dilophosaurus
Yeah.
back.
Yeah.
And I loved his death.
Mhm.
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
Me too. I was so happy to see them. And I love that they paired it with the Barbasol can.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
like, people might have thought that was corny. I absolutely loved that. I was pure joy. in
Yeah,
these
I feel
moments.
like that scene was like for us, and
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
This was the one like callback scene in the movie that I was all for. Like,
yeah.
if they had this one and only this one, it would have been so much better. But yeah, it was just perfect how they did it.
Yeah. That was epic. They really, yeah. If they didn't have any of the other callbacks, but they had that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was an epic one.
And then the final scene that I wanted to bring up is my favorite scene from the movie is the tower scene, which we briefly talked about a little bit, with them all being trapped by the Gigasaurus or whatever it's called. And you have those same dinos kind of like sneaking around and stuff. And you have Ian Malcolm with the flare, and
Yeah.
I don't know about you guys, but like I was on the edge of my seat during that scene. I thought they were going to kill off at least one of the characters.
Yeah.
I kind of hope they did, to be honest. Like maybe not one of the OGs, but like I don't know. I felt like it was too happy of an ending.
Yeah.
Who did you want to go?
I mean, I would have been okay with Alan Grant going.
What?
I know that's a controversial decision, but
Oh, that would have been like, oh my God. There would have had to been like such a long pause of like
Yeah.
a moment of silence.
at first I thought Ian Malcolm was like kind of like sacrificing himself, and I was like, if they kill Ian Malcolm, like, okay, like that's stupid.
Man, wow. You're blowing my mind. Like I would have been, I can't believe you dropped Grant's name. See, I would have said like I was gonna say like if they killed off Malcolm, like I love Ian Malcolm,
Yeah.
but it would I don't know how to word it. Dr. Grant is Jurassic Park.
Mhm.
Like when I think like he's one of I don't know how to say it. It'd be like killing off fucking I don't know. It'd be like killing off
T-Rex?
Nev Campbell in
I
Scream.
just feel like for this movie, Alan Grant brought the least to the table.
In this one, yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, that's true.
Wow.
I mean, I think the only person who could have died that wouldn't have been a tremendous emotional impact is Maisie. She's a child.
Wow.
I know.
What the
I know.
hell? What
No,
is
it
going
would-
on right now?
It would have
Maybe like
it would have been horrific, and all my children would have been destroyed. So I'm glad they didn't, but I'm just
Mhm.
saying, thinking, because I didn't even think about that. But you bringing it up, I was like, oh, I wouldn't have a Sattler. That would have been horrific. But it couldn't have been Pratt, or I forget his movie name,
Claire. Oh,
Claire or Owen. I mean, that would have been just jarring. I think if it would have been Grant or Sattler or the other two that I just mentioned,
well, I
it
think
would have
they
been
had-
very
was
jarring.
Kayla and Ramsey with them at the I know Kayla was for sure. She
Ramsey was
at this scene. Was Ramsey there too?
I think so. Maybe not actually.
No, I think he showed up at the final fight.
Yeah,
Oh,
he did.
Kayla is the plane flyer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I forgot she was there. Then
Kill
it should have
her
been,
off. Yeah.
It should have been her then, only because I think it would have been too jarring if it was any of the other people, and if it was the child,
Yeah,
obviously.
let's kill the
All the kids-
16-year-old.
All the kids that were in
I
the movie
mean-
theater would have been like, "Oh shit!"
I mean, come on. Like they did it in Endgame. They killed Iron Man. Like,
None of the Jurassic
Uh.
Parks though didn't kill any children.
no.
Yeah, so I mean, I liked her character. She was beautiful. I thought she was cool, but she was a new character. Isn't that the rule? You know, she didn't have
Exactly.
as much tenure. So,
I guess.
Yeah.
but who would have flown the plane out? I guess
I feel like
Yeah.
Owen
because somebody
probably
could
would have flown the
out. Oh,
fucking.
Owen knows how to do everything. You're
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
can fucking
Yeah.
fly. He could ride motorcycles. He could he's
Train
a cowboy
raptors.
now. Yeah, he's a
the
cowboy.
Uh,
He's legit Yellowstone cowboy.
I was
now.
gonna say, yeah, toss him in Yellowstone. He'll rip a few things.
Yeah. But
Oh my gosh.
yeah, I love that scene. But I did think that it was like too happy of an ending
Yeah.
because like during the final fight scene, there's like legit like 8 or 9 people that like are there and are like running away between them fighting, and just too many people will survive. I was like, they go on the helicopter at the end. I was like, can you even fit that many people on that thing?
Yeah, right.
I feel like one of the main reasons why they maybe didn't kill anybody off is because like this is supposed to be the conclusion of the franchise. So I feel like if they killed somebody off in the last movie, especially one of the original 3, like I feel like there'd be an uproar. Like, hey, we're gonna bring back all 3 of the original characters and we're gonna kill one of them off
Kill 'em.
just for your viewing pleasure.
Hey, we saw a movie like that. Oh, Halloween.
And Scream.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But Scream's continuing on, and so is Halloween, right? So like
Oh, you made me sad. I didn't think I knew that they were not going to make any more Jurassics.
I think this was supposed to be the conclusion
Yeah, I
of
was
it.
gonna ask you guys, like, this is like the conclusion apparently, but do you think this is actually like, do you want this to be the last movie?
No.
No.
Well, I mean, I don't want another just nostalgia movie. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
we
it
had
wasn't
that.
it wasn't good enough to be the last movie.
Like, so
Yeah,
you guys would want like something that doesn't have any of these characters, OGs, or like Owen or Claire in it. Like, you want something new. Like,
I don't want another Jurassic World movie
Mhm.
because I'm kind of over that storyline now.
Mhm.
But at the same time, it would be like, let's make another one and we'll bring back the two kids from the first movie, like we mentioned at the beginning. And that can be like our resurgence from the OGs.
Yeah.
But
yeah, if they're good actors still, right?
yeah, true. I don't think either one
Give
of
them
them
a
have
screen
acted in
test
a while.
first, okay? Because I just want to make sure that they're good actors.
Maybe we'll recast them too. I don't know. Yeah, no, this movie wasn't good enough to be the last one, in my
I think-
opinion.
Okay. I get
There's-
that point. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. I was all excited.
That's
I kept
okay.
talking over
Go
you
ahead.
guys. I'm sorry. I was just say I agree. There's millions of people in the world. I'm sure we could come up with some really oh, sorry. I had like this weird.
Yeah, I heard that too.
Yeah, I
Okay.
heard that too. I'm still hearing it.
Me
What
too.
is that? It's like a tapping.
It's like someone's like back in the day when they would tap your phone calls.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is someone listening?
Yeah.
Who's listening?
Honey, are you
Government.
there?
Okay, thank
I think we're good.
I think that they could create some really cool some other part of the world. We have these dinos still living there,
Mhm.
like some other storyline living with these dinos. I think every single movie, what I was excited for was real life with dinos.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
every movie gave little bits of it, like Fallen Kingdom, correct me if I'm wrong, where the dino gets out in the world and he eats the dog and
Yeah.
like, but it's just a moment, right?
Yeah.
It's not I think one of you mentioned it earlier on, maybe it was Brooke, that more of the dinos living out in
Yeah.
the world with humans would
Yeah.
be really cool.
Because you do see, I think, either at the beginning or maybe that's at the end. Yeah, I think it's at the end whenever the pterodactyl has like the nest in the Empire State Building. They'd
Yeah.
like taken
Yeah.
over. And then like the scene I mentioned at the beginning with the horses running with whatever those dinos are called.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's see more of that. And like maybe we fast forward to
Mhm.
where it has been settled for we have been living all together. Like what does that look like? Explore that story from why haven't they taken over the entire earth? Is there something else in their DNA? Is there just whatever, and exploring that? I would really like there to be more.
Yeah. For me, I kind of want this to be the last, not because I don't love dinosaur movies, but I just don't want it to turn into like a Fast and the Furious franchise.
Yeah.
Where they're just pumping out these movies left and right. And now these movies have been spaced out like fairly well. Like I think Jurassic World was like 2016.
Yeah. Fallen Kingdom was 2018.
Yeah, and then you had that big span between Jurassic Park 3 and the next one. But yeah, I just don't want it to turn into like a Fast and the franchise thing where it's like it's just pumping out movies just because they make a shit ton of money, which like I get, studios want to make money, but I don't know.
What if they made them really good? Like they made one that was really good. I don't know what that means, but because what else
Yeah.
are they going to do with dinos? Are we not going to have any more dinos? I know they crank out all types of alien movies, but
Mhm.
dinos are dinos. Like what are
Yeah.
what else are they going to do with them?
Velocipaster too.
Yeah.
No, I agree with you, Brooke. I don't want it to be a Fast and the Furious, but I also think that they need to do at least one more movie to kind of wrap
Mhm.
things up, just because this one wasn't my
So
cup
you
of tea.
didn't feel like they wrapped this one up at all.
Well, they wrap it up, but I mean, it's not good enough of a movie to finish the franchise,
Mhm.
in my opinion. Sorry, I got to step away again. My nose is running like a sieve. My allergies are fucking through the roof tonight.
No worries, man. So yeah, the end of the movie, basically, it all wraps up nice. Alan and Ellie, they kiss and they're together, I
Yay.
guess.
I was so happy.
Yes. I don't know what Ian's doing. He's just being a father to 5 kids and loves being a
Yes.
father. And then you have Owen returning Beta to Blue. And I like the final scene with him returning the kid. And then they like run off and then Blue comes back. And you kind of get that like last goodbye between Blue and Owen. And
Yeah.
they're kind of going off being parents now and living life.
Yeah, I really liked that because in the beginning, Macy and Owen and Claire were more they were caring for her as though she was their own, but it was more like, okay, we have her and all her family's dead, so let's just take her into the woods. And so they were having a real hard time connecting on that level, even though they were caring for her like that. And then we fast forward when they go after her and she was like, those are my parents.
Yeah.
And then at the end, really them coming together, he's a father, she's a mother, and Macy is their baby. Macy is their child. I loved that. They all came together as a family. Oh, that was beautiful.
Yeah, we're just talking about the final scene. What do you think of the scene with Blue and Owen returning Beta to Blue, Mark?
It was another anticlimactic scene. Like,
oh, okay.
No. Let me rephrase.
Fuck Beta.
Yeah.
Let her fend for herself. No, I liked it, but I was hoping for more between Blue and Owen because like he just kind of passes Beta off and then Blue's happy. Obviously she has her child back and then they kind of run away and then you see Beta turn around and look back. But I was expecting more of an interaction between Blue and Owen because they had spent so much time together in the first movie. Like he was her trainer and like they had a good connection and stuff like that.
Well, Blue does come back.
What?
After like they run off, Blue comes back.
And did I miss that?
You must have, yeah.
Okay.
Because Blue
wasted.
Blue comes back. And Owen's like about to get in the car, and then like they're just like looking at each other, and like Owen just like kind of like gives a goodbye.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
It was very tender.
I don't know if I was expecting like them to hug or something. I don't know.
So especially okay. I was gonna say because you're like I expected more. Is like I mean, more would have been they kissed. Like, I don't know what more they could have done. It's a dino and a human.
I mean, yeah, Mark, this is a kid's movie. You can't have no bestiality
Did you want,
in this movie.
Yeah. Did you want Blue to bring him a Valentine or something? Some flowers? I don't know.
No, I don't know.
Start living together?
Yeah. I guess it makes sense. I did enjoy it though. And I came back into you guys talking about Owen and Claire and Macy, and I thought that was a really nice scene as well.
Yeah.
It's almost like she views them as her parents, obviously, but it's like sort of like an adoptive sort of situation, right? Where like they have always kind of loved each other and had some sort of affection, but they didn't all know how to coexist together. And then going through the motions of this movie, they've all kind of connected on that level.
Yeah, because it was very much at the end of the last one. So they're all together, and her and Owen had like a rocky relationship. They weren't really together, but they had these feelings. Then there's this little girl. They all escape this massively traumatic situation. Then they escape to the woods to protect her so no one can find her. So they're kind of like, that's the situation they're in. Even though they are like a family unit, they're not.
Yeah.
They're not like officially, or maybe they don't even know how to function as a family unit because they kind of just escaped to,
Well, and like Macy, she's a teenager who's been ripped from life as she knew it and moved into the freaking woods where she has zero communication with anybody. So it's understandable that she would have a lot of animosity towards them for what, I don't know, like they're protecting her obviously, but she's a 16-year-old girl. She doesn't understand that necessarily. And they're constantly telling her, like, don't go to the bridge, or don't go past the bridge. And every day she's doing exactly what they tell her not to do. And you just want to like shake her. But at the same time, you have to understand that like she's not used to this life.
Yeah.
Yes, 100%. But I was like, teenagers suck. I have teenagers, so I can say that. But I was like, I looked at my little one. You see, this is why when we say don't do something, look, she goes and gets kidnapped. God damn it.
I did forget about that scene though, like the Brachiosaurus scene at the construction site. Like those scenes with the Brachiosaurus just make me like feel so calm and like happy.
They're like, well, they're gentle giants, and I think they've been described as that throughout the franchise. And they're like a peaceful animal. Like the noises that they make, just the way that they move, they're very slow, and like they could fuck shit up, but it's like they're the most gentle creatures that they could possibly be.
Yeah.
I liked that snippet of how the dinos in real world would affect and how it's affecting this construction crew, and they're like waiting for the dino to move. I agree with you guys. I love those dinos. They're like whales on
like a blue whale. I was
Yeah.
expecting Fred Flintstone to come like riding down its neck at one point.
I love it.
Yeah. And then like the final scene it has like we talked about like the horses and the one dinos, and then it has the like big like water dinosaur swimming with like the blue whales, and they're like interacting. Then you have like the elephants, and you see like the triceratops with them, and I was like, that's like the perfect match for all three of those dinosaurs.
Yeah.
You don't think that a T-Rex would attack an elephant?
It wasn't a T-Rex.
It was a triceratops. Did I say T-Rex?
No, you said triceratops.
Oh, did you say triceratops? My bad.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I'm pretty sure. Maybe not, but I think you did.
But I agree. Yes, it is.
Have you seen the movie, Mark? I'm just kidding.
Yeah. I mean, that's all I have. Did you guys have anything that we missed or you guys wanted to hit on?
No, not for me. We touched on everything that I wanted to mention too.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's the way the blood splatters.
What blood? It's a kids movie, Brooke. All right. It's time for our reviews. Felicia, as our guest of honor, you get to go first, starting off with your story, and then we'll move on to the quality.
The story, I made I'm looking at it and I have a 6 there, but I wonder if it should be a 5. And the reasons were, I didn't feel the locust story was really built out enough. I thought there was gaps there in our main evil character. This was a real evil thing he did, but he wasn't really evil, which I don't know. And then some other things that we talked about. I thought, as I said many times, you probably all the listeners can say after me, it was a nostalgia movie. And that was the purpose of it. So I didn't think the story was that baked out. However, I didn't hate it. I loved the dinos and how they were in the world. And I loved, I didn't mind how they brought Dr. Sattler back and some of the different elements of the story. I didn't think it was a complete bomb by any means. So I'm going to say a 6 for the story.
Okay.
All right. What about your quality?
Oh, I say it all. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. So quality, I put an 8 because of the time. So many times I kept thinking, oh, that dino doesn't look real. And except for the really big ones. And so that took me out of it a little bit, where I think back to the other movies where I was balls to the wall. It was like everything was just looked so great. So I think an 8 there. And then the next is scare, right? Want me to keep going?
No,
we'll
that'll
that
come
now.
after. Yeah.
Okay, so that's it. Those 2 things, right? Sorry.
You got it.
Screwing things up here.
All right, Brooke, what about you?
So I gave this story a 3 out of 10. I thought the writing was not good. The introduction of the characters and how they tied them in, we talked about it, wasn't very good. Too many characters in the movie. I just didn't like any of the plot lines. I wish they did show like more of the dinos in the real world, but I get that they have to have like the story with our main characters. So yeah, 3 out of 10 for that. And for quality, I give it a 5 out of 10. I think it's like an average made movie. I thought like the CGI and like it looked great. The action sequences were awesome. I thought the acting was good. But yeah, the score was great as always. They bring that back. So yeah, story 3 out of 10 and quality a 5 out of 10.
You said a lot of good stuff about the quality, though.
Yeah, I know.
I agree with all of that.
I saw the 5 and I was like, maybe I should bump it up a little bit, but I'll keep it at that for now. What about you, Mark?
My story, I gave it a 3 as well.
Okay.
I've already mentioned this, but I said too many scenes that have been used in the other movies. The movie was all over the place. It felt like an Indiana Jones movie for about 30 minutes at one point. Like I was like, is this a Jurassic Park movie or is Chris Pratt the new Indiana Jones?
Mm-hmm.
The whole Locust storyline was stupid as hell. I said, has Dr. Wu learned nothing in the last 30 years? Like, stop with this genetic modification.
Oh yeah, and he was at the end as well too. He got on the helicopter.
Yeah. And lastly, I said, did I actually witness Chris Pratt box a dinosaur?
Oh, he did punch a dinosaur, didn't he?
Yeah. He started punching the shit out of a Giganotosaurus. And I was like, that scene happened, and I was like, what the hell is this?
I forgot about that.
I forgot about that too.
So yeah, my story, I gave it a 3 out of 10. Quality, I gave it a 6 out of 10. I said the acting was good, but that's to be expected with a cast like this. The dinosaurs looked pretty good for the most part, although we did have some issues with it that we already mentioned. I like seeing new species, but I also wish that we had more of like, I don't know, maybe my issue with it is what Brooke said. Like, we didn't see enough of them in the real world. So it's like they're just like constantly adding new species of dinosaurs, but then like we don't really see a whole lot of them.
Mm-hmm.
Like that Pyroraptor, I would have loved to see more of that, and I would have loved to see more of the Freddykreugersaurus. I don't know, that we just don't see enough of them.
Yeah, I think I would have liked to see them like pit up, like they come like front face to face with like a tiger or like a grizzly bear or like another predator, like in our world, right?
One apex predator versus another one.
Yeah.
Now a dinosaur would likely fuck up a grizzly bear, but but it still would have been cool to see.
Yeah.
The score was amazing, as it always is with these movies. I felt the movie was a little bit long for what it delivered, and they could have trimmed out some of the fat, as Josh would say. And I also mentioned that I really wish they brought back Ariana Richards and Joseph Mazzallo, because they both said they would have liked to return for another movie. I just feel like that would have been a nice way to have all of the characters from the first movie that are still able to be in it. So yeah, 3 out of 10 and a 6 out of 10 for me.
I think Felicia and I mentioned when you went away for a sec, but the runtime didn't bother either of us.
No?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
I felt engaged during the whole thing. I didn't really feel.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess because like
Me
I was
too.
looking at Jurassic World, it was like just over 2 hours, like 2 hours and 6 minutes. And I think Fallen Kingdom was the same, like 2 hours and 6 or 2 hours and 7. And then this one was like 2 hours and 26 minutes, something like that. And I don't know. Maybe on a second watch or something, it might be a different story.
Before you do the Rotten Tomatoes, I was wondering if we could rank the movies.
Yeah.
So,
Deal.
Felicia, would you like to go first?
Yes, I have it right here. I did this beforehand. Okay, so my ranking of the movies, just in order, not like the scores, right? Because that's gonna take a whole nother level of thinking. Okay. All right. Number 1 for me is Jurassic Park, the original. Number 2 would be Jurassic World. Number 3, Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. Number 4, Jurassic World Dominion. Number 5, The Lost World. And number 6, Jurassic Park 3.
Interesting. Okay.
Everyone's entitled to their own opinion.
Yeah.
No,
Do you want me to go next, Mark?
I don't care.
All right. In my number 6 spot, I have Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. I need to rewatch that one because I've only seen it once. Number 5, I have Jurassic World Dominion. I doubt Fallen Kingdom. I feel like I won't like more than this movie, so I'll keep it at that. Number 4, I have Jurassic Park 3. Number 2, I have The Lost World, Jurassic Park. Number 2, I have Jurassic World. And then number 1, Jurassic Park.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
You're entitled to your own opinion.
Yeah. To be honest, the last time I watched Jurassic World, I didn't like it that much. But this recent watch, I had an amazing time with it. And I really liked it.
It was fun.
Yeah.
It was
you, Mark?
I didn't write mine down, so I'm going off the top of my head. So I'm going to go first to last.
Yeah.
My first one is Jurassic Park, obviously. My second one is The Lost World. My third is Jurassic World. My fourth is Fallen Kingdom. My fifth is Jurassic Park 3. And then my last one is Dominion.
Wow. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. But I also haven't watched all of them recently. So
Yeah.
that could change. Like we obviously just watched Jurassic Park like
Mhm.
2 weeks or 3 weeks ago. But yeah, maybe on a like if I did like a franchise watch, that might change.
Yeah.
But going off of my memory, that's how I'm going to rank it.
I do like a franchise watch every freaking week. So I feel pretty solid.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, I just did the watch and I was really juggling between putting Dominion over Jurassic Park 3. But Jurassic Park 3 is kind of really nostalgic for me because I used to rewatch that movie like over and over again. And it's only an hour and a half. Like it's a very quick watch. So it's very easy to get through.
Mm-hmm.
I think for me, because I had that experience with Jurassic Park and, seeing it in the movie theater and it's first coming out. So then when it went on to, when we got to that Jurassic Park 3, I had that feeling like, oh my God.
Yeah.
They just made this movie to make, to try to keep riding the wave.
Yeah.
And
it wasn't Spielberg wasn't back for it. Like
The
Lost World was. Yeah.
I think I like The Lost World so much because Malcolm does come back for that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. The only thing that really sticks with me is that excellent scene with the T-Rex baby and the mama and, them trying to get it back and that whole thing in that trailer.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, I don't even recall that much from it. I feel the same way about the Lost World. But I love them all. We love them all. And so I accept any rating sequence.
I think what I really liked about Jurassic Park 3, because that was the first one that we really saw the pterodactyls, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Like that's a sequence that has always stuck with me, is that whole scene in like the bird sanctuary sort of thing. Yeah. I just thought it was such a cool scene. And like William H. Macy's in it and he's fantastic.
Yeah. And Tia Leone.
Yeah, she can. I don't really care about her.
I don't not like her as an actress, but in that particular movie, I just, I couldn't stand her. Yeah. But I think that was supposed to. I think if I remember correctly, that particular movie too, I was so amped for the birds, the pterodactyls. I was so amped. And maybe I was too amped. Yeah. It's not that they were bad, but maybe I was just expecting so much more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Still good though.
Yeah. That might be my next franchise watch.
I think you should do it.
Yeah, definitely.
I'll come borrow your.
Never a bad choice.
That's true. I'll come borrow your box set, Brooke.
Yeah.
once it comes in.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Okay, so you guys know our scores. Let's head on over to Rotten Tomatoes and see what they've scored it. Felicia, as our guest, you get to guess the critic score based off this critic's consensus.
Oh,
Are you ready?
okay. Yeah.
So the critics' consensus: Jurassic World Dominion might be a bit of an improvement over its immediate predecessors, but in some respects, but this franchise has lumbered a long way down from its classic start.
So what
do you think
sorry.
the critics scored it based off that?
Is this out 5?
Sorry, like their
Or
percentage. The
percentages?
percentage, yeah.
Is it like, this is random, but like 32%?
Oh, you are so close.
Oh,
Really? She's close? I would have guessed that low.
30%.
oh, it's so
What?
close.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. On 346 reviews and an average score of 4.9 out of 10.
Oh, wow.
actually, I did read that. Yeah, now you say that, it is the lowest movie in the whole franchise.
Yeah. Now, the audience score, and I think that this is probably mostly based off of the fact that the OGs came back. The audience score was a 78% on 10,000 ratings and an average score of 4.1 out of 5, or an 8.2 out of 10.
I think it's that nostalgia.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah. But like, talk about two contradicting scores.
Yeah.
We have a 30% from the critics and a 78% from the audience.
Yeah.
A 4.9 out of 10 from the critics and an 8.2 out of 10 from the audience. That's nuts.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah. All right, Brooke, what's Letterboxd have for us?
So Letterboxd is at a 2.5 out of 5. I rated it a 2 out of 5. Same with you, Mark. You gave it a 2 out of 5.
Yep.
Here Be Monster, aka Anthony from Porcelain Peak, gave it a 1.5. So he was not a fan of this movie.
Oh my God.
Who else? I didn't write them down like I usually do. That's it from our kind of crew.
All right.
Yeah.
Felicia, if you had to give it a score out of 5, what would you give it?
I think I give it a 3 out of 5.
Okay.
Yeah. So thinking of other movies I've scored higher. I loved everything that I mentioned. I don't have to rehash that.
Mm-hmm.
But if I think of other movies that I've rated 4s and 5s, I would say a 3.
Okay.
3 out of 5.
Yeah, nice.
Cool. All right, are you guys ready for the scare section?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
All right. Felicia, what did you give it for a scare rating out of 10?
I gave it a 6 out of 10 because I paused. I have 5 to 6 out of 10, but I'm going to go with the 6 because there were pieces missing. Like if I think of the original Jurassic Park, and what was terrifying was just the dinos. It was the suspense of like seeing the water and the noise of the boom, and that suspense.
Yeah.
There wasn't any of that in this movie, really. You just saw the dinos. I really liked the scary moments, like the tower, or that hulking big Freddy Krueger bird, or the Pyroraptor, going in the water. So there were definitely some moments that were good, and then the locusts in the beginning, but it wasn't. I don't know. I just didn't have a lot of that scare. Can I change it? I want to go with the 5. The 5.
Okay.
Yeah. That's what I want to say because of those reasons.
Okay.
Cool.
What was your scariest scene?
And I didn't know if you want me to say that now. Sorry.
Yeah.
My scariest scene was the what is it? The Giganotosaurus, and Claire. Honestly, I don't know what it was, that thing skulking. And then I didn't mention this before, but when it like straddled the water and its claws sunk into I just loved everything about this dino. That was my favorite scene.
Yeah.
And I thought it was the scariest.
Yeah.
I was scared.
Do you think you would survive if you were in this movie?
Was I in all of the movies? Because I think I would have learned by then and probably had a really good chance. But if I was one of the characters that was in that tower scene, it probably would have been me that they killed. So I think it depends on how long have I been around fighting with these dinos versus this is my first cameo. I probably would have been the character that died.
Fair enough.
All
right. Brooke, what about you?
I gave the scare rating a 4 out of 10. I did think it was like, so there was a couple of jump scares that we talked about, but I did feel like there was more dino kills in this one, like compared to the last couple that we've gotten. So 4 out of 10.
Okay.
And scariest scene, I would have agreed with Felicia if I didn't see that scene in the trailer with her in the water. So I'm actually going to go with the locust scene at the beginning. I just thought that scene was filmed really well. It reminded me of like an old school kind of like monster insect movie from like the 80s or 90s. And so I'll go with that scene.
It's a good one.
And then would I survive? I mean, if Claire can survive in high heels and business clothes, then I feel like I could probably survive. So
Claire's so much tougher than you.
Yeah, probably. How about you, Mark?
My scare rating, I give it a 3 out of 10. I said this movie is too much of an action movie to really induce like a lot of fear. The dinosaurs are scary, but the movie as a whole was kind of ineffective in that category. And Felicia, you mentioned this, but I also said that it kind of lost all of its suspense and edge of your seat tension that we've seen in some of the previous movies. My scariest scene, I agree with Felicia. The whatever the fuck it's called with the big claws, that dinosaur with the water. I actually avoided all trailers for this movie, so I never saw that. And yeah, it's a pretty fucking scary scene. Like if you put yourself in her shoes, like she knows that it's right behind her and she's like slowly creeping into this water, and then it's slowly following her, and then she just like dips down under the water. And I love the visual of how he's over top of her and you see it's like snout in the water, but you also get the underwater view of her. Yeah. And I thought it was just a really cool shot, and it was very scary. Like if you're in that position, because you don't know what the fuck's going to happen. Like this thing would tear you apart. So yeah, that for me is the scariest scene. Would I survive? I said, well, we learned that boxing a T-Rex works. So I guess if I fine tune my fighting skills, I could probably survive.
I love that. That's great. I know. Maybe I underestimate myself.
Maybe, yeah.
Maybe I can survive.
How are you in heels?
Yeah, I'm pretty good in heels. I'm really good in heels.
There you go.
I'm good in heels. But
you're good.
I'm good.
All right. Well, that wraps it up then. So thank you again, Felicia, for joining us for this movie. Really wish you could have been here for that Jurassic Park episode, but unfortunately illness struck your house at the worst time.
Yeah, that's probably the biggest regret of my life. Who else is going to ask me to talk about Jurassic Park? Like, this is not ever going to be a thing.
But we're very happy that you were able to join us for this one at least, and get your thoughts on it and have yet another fantastic discussion on a movie.
Thank you so much for having me. This is like, I'm so glad that I got to talk about this movie and I got to talk about it with you guys because I love talking with you guys. So I was really looking forward to this.
Thanks.
Yeah, glad we could have you on.
Definitely. Before we wrap everything up though, do you want to plug your podcast one last time?
Oh, yes. We are Two Chicks and a Horror Flick. And you can find us at Two Chicks and a Horror Flick on Instagram or twochicksandahorrorflick.com. Those two places, you can go out and find us anywhere else, your favorite social media platform, and all, podcast episodes and all of that good stuff.
Very nice. And you also have a YouTube channel?
I'm sorry. We have a YouTube channel too. So if you want to stare at us while we talk, absolutely. We have a YouTube channel.
Nice.
Thank you for reminding me, Mark.
No problem. That's what we're here for. Did you know? So we've also started the whole YouTube adventure. I got an email. Well, we got an email to like the podcast email. And it gave us a little interesting fact that YouTube has actually overtook Spotify's top spot for podcasts.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, we're definitely not.
No,
that's not
neither
our number
are we.
one spot.
Yeah.
But that is so interesting. Oh, so maybe
Yeah.
we should take it a little bit more seriously.
Maybe.
I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's where the fame comes from.
Interesting. I wouldn't have never guessed that.
Me either. I was shocked when I read that email. Like I texted Brooke right away. I was like, dude, look at this. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
So people are just plugging in and listening to, well, I mean, I watch a lot, like true crime on YouTube and don't listen to the podcast, but that's more because there's things to look at, not like people are like, wow, she's disturbing, but like they show pictures of like, oh, this is the person, them growing up and stuff like that. There's stuff to look at versus people just talking together. I mean, you guys are nice to look at. I'm just saying, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
There's not a lot of action and visuals.
But I'm wondering if that's like where like the big determining factor is because like we don't necessarily have a lot of visuals with ours. Like I'll add some stuff here and there, but like nothing crazy. But like if you get these like big production teams that have like the ability to like put like big edits into the videos and stuff like that, like I could understand how it would catch people's attention a lot more. Like you could realistically add like movie trailers with like certain guidelines, obviously, or like some sort of visual aid that goes with the episodes.
Oh, you're right. We could have had pictures of the Freddykreugersaurus.
Exactly.
Lots of different things to add that element. You're right. And that is why my and Tawny's podcast isn't super. We need to add more of these elements. You're right.
I mean, we don't either. So it's just so time consuming, right? Like it would be nice to be able to do this full time and get like a steady paycheck from it and just be able to devote your entire career into doing this type of stuff.
Oh yeah. If we could do this full time, totally. I'd quit my day job and then I would hire people to do those elements.
Absolutely.
So all I had to do was watch the movie and show up.
Exactly. That's the dream. That's the dream.
Gosh, we could do multiple episodes a week if somebody else was editing and doing all that other stuff.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, definitely. All right, let's wrap this up. Felicia, you have to wake up early. Well, actually, all three of us have to wake up early.
Yeah.
But not 5 o'clock early. That's crazy town. All right. So yeah, thank you for listening. Thank you, Felicia, for joining us. If you guys want to catch us on social media, you can find us at Instagram and Facebook at A Podcast on Elm Street. If you click the link in our bio on Instagram, you'll find links to our TeePublic account where we have our merch. There's also a link to our Patreon account if you wish to support the podcast that way. There's also links to our YouTube channel, which we just talked about extensively. Each of our personal Letterboxd accounts, our Discord server, and anywhere that you can listen to us. Thank you again, Felicia, for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Always a pleasure. We can sign off. You can get to bed. And
that's it.
Yeah.
We'll talk to you next week, guys.
Buy their merch. It's legit. I have it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You have merch as well, so buy yours too. All right. See you later.
See ya.
Bye.